Hey everybody. So yesterday we took a look at the Vancouver Canucks and I talked about 3 players that I think really need to step up for Vancouver if they're going to turn their season around. So today we're going to do the exact same thing, but for another team that's had a pretty disappointing start to the year, the New York Rangers. Now before we begin, I just ask that you please hit that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up if you haven't yet. Both of those things help out an absolute ton and are very, very much appreciated. But let's take a look here at the New York Rangers, who have not had the best start to the season through their first 15 games so far. They are sitting under 500 at 5-7-3 and down in 7th place in the East Division. So the Rangers were a really interesting team heading into this season. There's no doubt a ton of young talent there with the New York Rangers and the potential for this team to be really good, but there also were a lot of question marks and people kind of gauged this team all over the place before the year started. I think they were very hyped up by some people, and a lot of people had them, being a playoff team this year. And then on the other side, some people said that they weren't ready yet. They're still rebuilding. They're not quite there. And so far, for Rangers fans and for the people that thought they were going to be a playoff team this year, it certainly has not been the best start. Still, obviously, time to turn things around, but they are in a very tough division. And they're sitting down in 7th out of 8th. So not exactly where the Rangers hope to be at this point in the season. But we're going to take a look at 3 guys now that I really think need to step up if the Rangers are going to turn things around this year. And Jacob Trouba would have been on this list, but unfortunately he is out for, I believe, 4 to 6 weeks, a pretty significant length of time. For the Rangers, he has an injury that is going to keep him out for, the next month plus. So that kept Trouba off the list, but we are going to start with center Mika Zibanejad because there is nobody on the New York Rangers who needs to step up and get going more than Mika Zibanejad, who has been absolutely horrendous this season. Through the first 15 games, he only has 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points and a -5 rating. That is your top-line center. 3 points in 15 games and a -5. Zibanejad had 41 goals last season. He has 1 so far this year. I don't know what is going on with Mika Zibanejad. I don't know if he's playing injured, if it's an injury issue, or if it's a mental thing where something just isn't right. But Mika Zibanejad has been absolutely horrible this season, and the New York Rangers are not going anywhere as a team without Mika Zibanejad playing well. And I think he's been one of the biggest reasons why the Rangers haven't gotten off to a good start this year, is because Zibanejad has been nowhere to be found. So he is my #1 guy for New York that has got to get going. If the Rangers are somehow going to turn their season around and maybe get back into the playoff race and compete for a playoff spot, he has got to get back to being the Mika Zibanejad we saw last season, because so far, just 3 points, and he's been absolutely terrible. Second on the list, I have right wing Kaapo Kakko. Second-year player here, 2nd overall pick back a couple drafts ago. And listen, he didn't put up big numbers last season, but he was a rookie. It was his first year in the league. I kind of give guys a pass in their rookie season, but it's his 2nd year now for Kakko, and 14 games played, just 2 goals and 1 assist for 3 points and a -2 rating. This guy has got to get it going. I mean, if you look, just Jack Hughes, taking 1 pick before him, 1st overall a couple years ago. Hughes has a down rookie season, just like Kakko did for the most part. Doesn't put up big offensive numbers, but Hughes goes out this offseason and gets bigger, gets stronger, comes back significantly improved, and is now lighting it up this year for the New Jersey Devils. He is taking that next step of his development. Kaapo Kakko needs to take that next step in his development, and so far this season, he hasn't. There's really been no change in his game from last year to this year. He hasn't really gotten noticeably better. The Rangers games that I've watched this year, he has been largely invisible. He is not a guy that is really noticeable on the ice. He's not putting up points. He's not producing. And it's been another year this season, much like last year, and it doesn't look like his point totals are really going to increase much, or at all. They might not increase at all. I mean, he's only got 3 points in the first 14 games. He had 23 points last year. I don't know if he reaches 23 this year. Not the way that it's going right now, he won't. I mean, we're a quarter of the way through the season, and he only has got 3. I mean, it's been a really tough start here for him, and I was expecting so much more in his second season, and he hasn't brought it. He hasn't really shown any signs of development or improvement or getting any better. He's still producing pretty marginal numbers, and he hasn't been impactful at all for the New York Rangers. He has got to be a guy that has an impact and really, helps out the middle six of that group. And so far, only with 2 goals on the season, he hasn't done it. So I've been very, very disappointed in him this year. He has not taken the strides forward that I was expecting. And if the Rangers are going to get better, they need to get him going. They need to get him going. So finally, that brings us to number 3. And no, it is not Alexis Lafreniere. Lafreniere has not been good, but he's a rookie. If you're leaning on a rookie to be the guy that's a driving force for your team, you're still in rebuild mode and you're not a playoff level team. So I'm kind of taking some of the pressure off of Lafreniere here because there are other more veteran guys in this lineup that need to be better. You should not be reliant on a rookie to come into the lineup and be a driving force for the team. So I don't have Lafreniere on this list because, again, he's a secondary player at this point until he really gets settled in the NHL. You know who needs to be a lot better? Chris Kreider. Talk about the exact opposite of a rookie. Chris Kreider, I believe, is the longest tenured Ranger left on the team. He spent his whole career in New York. He's supposed to be a big-time leader for this team, a really good goal scorer, and somebody who kind of sets the tone and leads the way for the New York Rangers. So far this season, Chris Kreider in 15 games only has 4 goals and 1 assist for 5 points and a -6 rating. Chris Kreider needs to be a lot better. Mika Zibanejad obviously needs to be a whole lot better. Kaapo Kakko needs to start doing something, but Chris Kreider needs to be better as well. 5 points in 15 games is not going to cut it from a veteran winger who is supposed to be one of the driving forces of your offense. He does have 4 goals, but they just haven't been enough. You haven't seen enough from Chris Kreider. Particularly in the role that he's in with this team where he basically, he's one of the biggest leaders on this team. And he's been with the Rangers for a long, long time now. And we're a very young team. You need to lean on these veteran guys who do have that experience and have been deep into the playoffs and have been in the league for a long time, like Chris Kreider, to really kind of help the team out and get them out of a rut when they're in one. And Kreider's got to get going. I don't think 5 points in 15 games is going to cut it from him. And he's -6. He's got to get better defensively as well. He can't be out there for goals against like that. Chris Kreider is got to start, leading the way for this team from an emotional standpoint. He did have a fight earlier this week in the game against New Jersey, which, I love to see that. That's great leadership right there. But at the end of the day, they need more offense out of him. He's got to start driving play offensively and helping this team put points on the board. Because really, the biggest issue for the Rangers this year hasn't been their defense, which was a question mark heading into this season. They're not giving up a ton of goals. The issue for New York is that they have not been able to score. And with that much talent up front and that much offensive firepower, the Rangers should be one of the higher scoring teams in the league. They haven't been so far this year, and that's what's really hurt them, I think. So, Kreider, Zibanejad, Kakko, all of these guys need to get going offensively. Panarin is putting up the points. The rest of the team is not. So I look for those three guys to be a whole lot better the rest of the year if New York is going to turn their season around. If these guys don't pick it up and get going, New York is not going to turn their season around, and it's going to be a pretty disappointing year for the Rangers. But those are three players for the New York Rangers that I think need to really step up if this team's going to get headed in the right direction and get their season back on track. They haven't had good starts to the year. They need to be better, and you know, if those guys do get going, I think the Rangers may be able to pull back into the playoff race and catch up to teams like New Jersey, Pittsburgh, the New York Islanders, teams like that. The Rangers might be able to give them a little bit of a push and a little bit of a run for their money here the rest of the year if those guys get going. But so far, none of those three have been nearly good enough. And those definitely aren't the only three on the Rangers either. Like I said, Lafreniere has not been good, but he's a rookie, so I've kind of given him a pass for being a rookie. Jacob Trouba needs to be a whole lot better. But he obviously suffered a pretty significant injury, is going to be out for a while, which is why I didn't put him on the list. I think Ryan Lindgren needs to be better. You know, their defense as a whole has actually been okay defensively. They haven't given up a ton of goals, but they haven't really helped out producing offense much outside of Adam Fox. So they need more from the back end as well. But there's a lot of things that haven't been great for the Rangers to this point in the season. But I think those three guys are key to getting this team going. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, and donation link down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.